Donald Trump is expanding his executive power, trying to trample all over Congress, trying to appoint people in key positions so that they can take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. But I do want to say...
So what do you want? What do you want big government here in New York? Why is that something that we should advocate for?
We just want the government open.
You don't know my position on New York.
Progressive host Adam Mockler was a guest on Abby Phillip show with Sarah Sidner filling in for Abby Phillip as part of a panel that included MAGA right-winger Lydia Moynihan, Arthur Aidala, and Ashley Allison. The topic in this particular segment of the debate was the ongoing government shutdown, how that's affecting flights, how that's affecting SNAP benefits. We're going to take a look at these clips of Adam Mockler and the rest on Abby Phillip show. I want to share my thoughts on this too. Let's get into it together.
In just hours, the Trump administration will slash flights at 40 of the nation's busiest airports, including major hubs like New York City, Chicago, Atlanta. Delta, United, American, and Southwest have already grounded hundreds of planes for tomorrow, and that number expected to grow the longer this stalemate drags on. All of this has been putting a massive strain on the people whose jobs it is to keep us safe in the sky. Air traffic controllers are stressed to the max, understaffed, and now working without pay. Resignations, we hear, are happening daily.
They're calling in saying, I don't have enough gas to get to work, to their employer, to their supervisor and manager, and saying, what do you want me to do? They're not calling in sick. They're not calling in protest. They're calling in with real life situations. These are real people dealing with real life circumstances. And when you don't pay somebody for 37 days and say, hey, just keep showing up and do your best, people are going to have issues, and they're mounting daily.
And if you're wondering whether things will get better, here's a warning from the vice president.
The American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown.
People are already suffering, and they have been very clear about that. And look who we have at the table. No one is going to suffer fools tonight, as I understand it. I'm going to start with you, Arthur. We are hearing this. You know what ended the longest shutdown in our history? Air traffic control calling out and having it be a nightmare for travel. Is this going to be the key that pushes Congress to do its job?
I think absolutely. 2 weeks ago, I had to travel at like 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. The airport here in New York, it was packed. I mean, packed. Thank God I have TSA and Clear, so only took me half an hour. But when I got there, I asked the TSA, I go, what is going on? And she's like, well, only half of us are here. She's like, we're not getting paid. We're here voluntarily. Yours truly is supposed to travel this Saturday morning with a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, domestically, but from a New York airport. Trust me, my wife, who's not really a political person, that flight gets canceled. Oh boy. There's going to be people freaking out. And my heart breaks because those people who have gone this long without a paycheck, listen, I run a small business. I'm now 57, but at 37, 20 years ago, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I really was. Luckily, I had mommy and daddy if things got a little tight, but a lot of people who are 37 have children. They don't have mommy and daddy. So I agree with you. I think this will be what brings these two sides who should have the wherewithal, the intelligence to put their egos aside, to put their politics aside, and to do what they're there for, and to serve the people of the United States of America and get people paid, get people fed, and get things moving.
Allison, what do you think the chances are with the Democrats having this sort of big blue wave that they just had? I do that to you every time.
It's okay.
Ashley Allison, and I call you Allison every
I know you love
time.
Me.
There's a lot of love. But Ashley, what do you make of this idea that Democrats are saying, look, let's go ahead and talk about insurance. Let's get this done, and then we will help you reopen the government. Is that going to fly?
I don't know. All I'll say is that I actually agree with Arthur tonight.
What?
Because...
Agree with me a lot.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially
fine.
when it comes to hair. You do the whole hairstyle thing together.
I think you're right, though. I think both sides will come together. The reality is, though, they could have come together a month ago, but Republicans didn't want to. Democrats were saying, negotiate with us. You don't have enough votes to keep the government open. You don't have enough votes to do it your way. You have to negotiate. You don't have a mandate across all of it. Now, here's the funny thing, though, the backdrop. What's today? Thursday? 2 nights ago, Mamdani wins, and we're told he's going to turn the city into a place where you don't have groceries on the shelves, where people can't put gas in their car. You actually know where that's happening? Under government rule, with the White House being under Republican rule, with the White House being Republican rule, with the Senate being Republican rule, with the House being Republican rule. And what do we hear from the FAA? Is that there are people who can't afford to put gas in their cars because they're not getting paid. You're worried about Mandani being a socialist. Let me finish. You're worried about Mandani being a socialist. I'm worried about the Republicans governing.
This is why actually Republicans don't like big government, because it is extremely unreliable, and that's why they don't want more government the way that Mamdani is proposing. But
they're in charge.
I hope.
So Lydia Moynihan with the big government line that we always hear from MAGA and Republicans. We're going to hear more of this from them. The Republicans, especially under Trump, they love big government. They just don't want government for you and I. They love big government for them. And look at what's going on with Argentina. Started out where we were going to give $20 billion to Argentina. Then that ballooned up to $40 billion. Now there are reports that it could be $60 billion. So they're just throwing money at Argentina, but they say, oh, we don't have the money for subsidies and for SNAP and anything else that benefits regular Americans here. And that's what is incredible. I'm sure a lot of Americans just don't know about the billions being given to Argentina and, of course, all the other countries that we give money to because some donor has business interests in those countries, like in Argentina. That's what this mostly is about. Or those countries are lobbying our politicians to get this money. We also have, you know what, Donald Trump bragged about the first ever $1 trillion in 1 year, $1 trillion defense budget or war budget or whatever they want to call it now. So, you know, this has been a lie for literally for decades. Oh, that Republicans are against big government. They love to spend money when it's on themselves. Look at now, of course, they're saying that it's going to be privately funded, but the demolition at the White House that reportedly those workers aren't getting paid, that there's disputes there. But how many millions and millions and millions of our tax dollars have gone to all kinds of lavish things for Donald Trump and his family?
That, Arthur, that the Democrats are listening to you. The issue is if you're listening to the mainstream media, 87% of coverage for the Democrats has been positive during the shutdown. So they look at this, they think they're winning. Schumer thinks every day that passes is better for him. The minority whip talks about having leverage, and they don't really have the incentive now, right? They look at the margins that they won in Virginia, where lots of angry government employees turned out to vote for Spanberger, and they think, I don't want to give this up. At the same time, Axios is reporting that House Democrats are putting tremendous pressure on Senate Democrats not to cave, not to compromise, or they will have, quote unquote, hell to pay. So I don't think Democrats are in a position where they are interested in negotiating based on everything that's being reported and that we're hearing from them.
Democrats are absolutely about to negotiate. There's reporting today that they're ready because they have leverage. First of all, I just want to say the idea that the Republican Party is the party of small government, as you claimed, is a joke under this administration. Donald Trump is taking stakes, active stakes in multiple companies. Donald Trump is expanding his executive power, trying to trample all over Congress, trying to appoint people in key positions so that they can take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. But I do want to say,
so what do you want? What do you want big government here in New York? Why is that something that we should advocate for?
We just want the government open.
You don't know my position on New York.
I want the government. The Republicans have voted 14 times to open the government.
Let me just finish. Republicans have voted 14 times to strip health care away from millions of Americans. It is incredibly, incredibly obvious who has the moral high ground in this government shutdown, and it's the Democratic Party. They are just trying to prevent millions of Americans from being kicked off of health care.
Who put the sunset provision for ACA subsidies?
Republicans negotiated.
That was Democrats.
Republicans negotiated that in.
Who put the sunset provision for ACA?
Do you understand how negotiation works in Congress? Two sides have to come together. The Republican Party.
This would be the first time that we wouldn't have a clean CR passed. This is the bill that Schumer and everyone else agreed to back.
The Republican Party was the party that came in.
Why aren't they committing to it this year?
Listen, the Republican Party.
Why can't they commit to it this year?
The Republican Party was the party that didn't want permanent credits. Number one. Number two, the reason why Democrats are number one, just holding off is because millions of Americans are about to get kicked off healthcare. It's incredibly simple. It's super simple.
They put in the sunset provision.
Because Republicans asked them to.
Let's quickly talk about some of the things, because we just hear from J.D. Vance, who said, look, people are about to start feeling this. But people are feeling this, not just the federal workers who are in dire straits, but everyday Americans as well who use things like SNAP. A federal judge has come out and said, listen, you have to pay full SNAP benefits. You have to do it now. This is an emergency. What do you make of that, Lydia? With the Trump administration, like, oh, we're going to pay partial money into the SNAP fund, but we're not going to pay the full thing. And the judge is saying, no. I am ruling that you need to pay this in full. People are hurting.
My understanding is they don't have the funds to pay it in full. The emergency funds they have are not enough to cover it for this entire month.
I would imagine this Lydia Moynihan is probably an America First person. So just the idea that they don't have the money for SNAP is insane and untrue. But take the money from somewhere else. Say, Israel, sorry, you're on your own for a while. We're going to use this money here at home. We don't have the money to give to you. Argentina, we don't have the money to give to you. The defense budget, maybe it's not going to be $1 trillion. Maybe it's going to be $800 billion.
So that's why they keep pushing to try and open the government. And I think the idea that somehow a federal judge can order the executive branch to pay, why can't that same judge then ask the Democrats to reopen the government?
Well, because the executive branch was the one that said they weren't going to use the contingency money.
I mean, again,
not
there's
gonna
a
use any
debate
of the
about the
funds.
emergency
They're not
fund.
gonna
They
use
already have actually provided some
But the
funds.
reason why the federal judge doesn't have to tell Congress is Congress already approved the money and is now in the executive. This is how the government works. And so the executive is saying that they don't want to release those funds because of big government, actually. And the judge is saying, in an order of checks and balances, you can't do that, Mr. President. You actually don't run. You're not a king. You actually have to release the funds that Congress has already approved because we have 3 branches of government. That's actually why.
Can I just ask, to either of the Republicans on this panel, would you rather see this government shutdown end in Trump's preferred way, which is terminating the filibuster, or Democrats' preferred way, which is extending health care? What do you say?
First of all, I'm not a Republican.
Sorry. Then what do you say? Then what do you say? I want to see what do you say?
I ran for city council as a Democrat in the city of New York. Lost by 100
Then I want to ask you, what do you say about that?
I'm a New Yorker.
Okay, answer my question then. Answer my question then.
These labels, you know why we are where we are?
Answer my question.
What you just did, I'm going to answer your question. But this is why we are where we are. Because we've become so partisan. We've forgotten about the people who don't put gas in their car. We've forgotten about the people who can't feed their kids. We're more worried about here's why the Democrats are not motivated to settle this. Because history will say, under Donald Trump, it was the longest government shutdown.
The second
it'll
one.
be now.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
So for the Democrats, it's going to be down on his scorecard. I wish Congress would go to their home districts and see the people suffering.
You want to know who
and
is?
then come back to Washington and then make their decisions.
Somebody is, and it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's taking the sides of the Democrats actively. She has talked to her constituents, and she said their health care premiums are about to skyrocket. So, again, one party clearly has the moral high ground. Let me ask the same question. How should the shutdown end? The way that Trump wants it
It
to
should end that it always... There's one way it typically has always ended.
Negotiation.
Under Biden.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Biden,
Negotiation.
It always ends with a clean
With
CR.
negotiation.
No.
I reject your premise of your two false.
Donald Trump wants to terminate the filibuster. Democrats want to extend health care credits. Which of these sides would you choose?
I reject that premise.
Okay,
I think the way that the government has always opened is passing a clean CR. That's what Republicans did under Biden. That is what...
Just because it's always been done doesn't mean it always has to be done. That's that way.
And we have an unprecedented president who does things way outside the norm of what previous presidents have done. An administration and a president who defy court orders. So to expect this to go down the way it's always gone down is an incorrect assumption on the side of Lydia Moynihan here. And Adam Mockler trying to pin her down to one or the other. This is what the MAGA people who go on Abby Phillip show night after night always do. They always deflect and spin, and it's always, she brings up Joe Biden there. It's always with MAGA, what about Biden? Whether it's Lydia Moynihan or Scott Jennings or Ben Ferguson or any of these guys who go on Abby Phillip show. But what do you think about all this? Who's to blame? My opinion, I have a lot of problems with the Democrats and the Democratic Party, but if they give in, then the Republicans are just going to say, well, okay, you gave in. We're going to continue forward with getting rid of the subsidies or, just not let them be paid. Or we're going to say, like Lydia Moynihan said, sorry, we don't have the money anymore. It was spent. We sent it to Afghanistan. What are you going to do? But let me know, are you on the side of Adam Mockler and Ashley Allison, or are you on the side of Lydia Moynihan and the other MAGA people who go on Abby Phillip show and put all the blame on the Democrats and say, what about Biden? Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I am Chris on Culture, and I'll see you in the next video.